Well, Focus on the Family is an organization in America that spent $50,000 to evaluate the impact of this message that we're communicating called love and respect. And there was a sample that was very interesting. There were individuals who attended our live conference, 2-day event, who had divorced each other, but they showed up, why we don't know, but they were there. And there were couples who identified themselves as having filed for divorce. 60% of those either called off the divorce or remarried. And we believe it's because of an honest misunderstanding. We believe people get on the crazy cycle, they have goodwill, but without love, she reacts without respect, he reacts without love, and this spins. And no wife intends to appear disrespectful, and no husband intends to be unloving. And this is where my mom and dad made the mistake, where Sarah's parents and her family of origin, that people have an honest misunderstanding here because they don't understand why it is that things are crazy and chaotic. And in the book, Love and Respect, we help couples, whether they've been married 50 years or 5 months, to understand these concepts of love and respect. And here's the deal. I misrepresent myself to Sarah, and then she's going to misinterpret me. When I feel disrespected, I react in a way that feels unloving to her. When she feels unloved, she reacts in a way that feels disrespectful to me. And we misrepresent ourselves. And it's very difficult for the other then to rightly interpret. So the question really on the table is, will we choose to trust the goodwill of our spouse? Yeah, things have been crazy. We have said things we shouldn't. There may have been adultery, betrayal. There are some really bad things that can happen, but it didn't begin that way. And so our challenge always is, can we trust that the other did not intend to be unloving or disrespected, but instead felt unloved and disrespected, and then unfortunately reacted in a way that puts you on the crazy cycle? And could two people say, like a mother, a wife, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I was seeking reassurance that you love me for me. Well, I wasn't trying to be unloving. I just felt like you didn't like me or you didn't respect me. And if both could say, that was never my intent, will you forgive me? Good things can happen.
There was a couple just recently in Slovenia who came separated. The man sat on one side, the woman sat on another side. Younger couple with 3 little kids, but they've been separated. And they heard this message, and literally in 2 hours, both understood where they had misunderstood the other person, and they are now deciding that they are going to go forward with this message, trying to motivate the other one by what they know they need.
That's a good way of saying it. They understood how they had misunderstood the other. You haven't said that, that's good. That's exactly right.
Well, I was just going to say, in Emerson's book, Love and Respect, which is now in the Serbian language, there are many practical ways. There's a whole section for women, there's a whole section for men on practical ways to show love or to show respect. But the other thing I was going to say is that this is really, when you say a person needs to work on their marriage, it's really about who I am and not who that person isn't. And when we get that perspective, then there's just a freedom to work on me. And then that affects the marriage.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things we try to help couples realize is that this work shouldn't suddenly feel like, oh, I've tried these things. I've tried this for 50 years. I've tried. It doesn't work. Nothing works with this person. Well, maybe you're married to an evil person. But my experience has never caused me to conclude that your spouse is really an evil person. I think, again, there's this honest misunderstanding. And if you're willing to understand what you misunderstood, that she wasn't trying to be disrespectful. That's not her goal. She has a need for you to love who she is, and she shuts down out of a fear that you're not loving her, and unfortunately she reacts in these negative, disrespectful ways that offend us. But that's not her intent, and the question is she a good-willed woman who's reacting in a disrespectful way, but really it's because she needs your love. And ladies, it's so easy to label your husband as unloving. when the truth is, did you say or do something prior to this that felt disrespectful to him? And most women know, yeah, I know, but he should know I didn't mean it. He should know I didn't mean it. Well, he's vulnerable to that. And if you're willing to give him some grace here, that he's not trying to be unloving, and even say to him, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, and how can I talk to you about what's upsetting me without you feeling I'm trying to put you down? If you do that kind of work, it usually works. That's what we say. Well, as she referenced in the Love and Respect book, we define respect to a man 6 ways, and we define love to a woman 6 ways. For instance, in English, we did an acronym called COUPLE, C-O-U-P-L-E. When a husband is willing to be close with his wife, C, open with her, understanding of her, makes peace with her, is loyal to her, and esteems her, because she does need respect, she will soften. We also define what respect is to a man, but it's counterintuitive to many women, and she needs to give herself some time to process it. But one of the things we say to her is called unconditional positive regard toward his spirit, that when she confronts issues that upset her, she needs to make sure she reassures him, I'm not trying to dishonor your heart. You're an honorable man, but can I talk to you about what happened here? And one of the points we just made in our presentation, women will criticize and complain because they feel unloved, and they also feel that's the caring thing. But too much criticism and too much complaint begins to be disrespectful to the male, and he'll just shut down. In the same way, gentlemen, it's very honorable for you to withdraw and stonewall. If she's yapping at you, your heartbeat gets 99 beats per minute, you try to do the honorable thing by de-escalating this conflict because it's no big deal. But in her world, that feels very, very unloving. So if 2 people are willing to admit that, yes, my withdrawing from her feels unloving, and too much criticism and complaint feels disrespectful, and then asks this person, what would feel loving to you? What would feel respectful to you? The question is, do we have enough courage to ask that question? Because all of us fear that the other person is going to say, you don't know how to be loving or respectful. But the mature person comes to a point where they're willing to, first of all, just ask, did I come across in an unloving way? Did I come across in a disrespectful way? And when you get in that crazy cycle, without love, she reacts without respect, and without respect, he reacts without love. Wives, are you willing to say, did I come across in a disrespectful way? Because you just reacted in an unloving way. What did I say or do that felt disrespectful to you? Or you say to her, you just reacted in a disrespectful way, but did I say or do something earlier that felt unloving? But what's interesting, very few people have courage to ask that question. I say to men, you're willing to die for this woman, but you're not willing to live with her. You're scared to ask that question. But I appeal to honorable men to ask the question and watch the power this has over the spirit of the female. She wants to defer to this. She wants to soften. Don't be afraid of having power, of influence, of having that kind of persuasive element. You can really impact her heart rather than thinking, no one can love this woman, nothing works with this woman. That's just not true. That is not true.
My advice for a newly married couple is to read the Love and Respect book. The reason why is because God brought it down to 2 simple words. And whether you've been married forever or whether you're just newly married, God intends for us all to live this way. And our daughter, years back, used to direct our ministry, and she would hear couples come through the book signing line, and they would say, I wish I knew then what I know now. And she had a desire to get this message to her generation because she didn't want them to say 20 years from now, I wish I knew then what I know now, because she wanted them to get it now. And so I would just say, it's the same message, whether you're newly married or whether you've been married for 40 plus years. If you get this simple message of love and respect down and you do your part, God will honor it.
Ephesians 5:33 says, husbands, love your wives, and wives, respect your husbands. This is God's game plan. I spoke to the New York Giants football team, Tom Coughlin, and he and I were talking about game plans, and that there's a game plan and you stick to the game plan. If you want a successful relationship, we want you to discover what does it mean to really love your wife, and wives, what does it mean to respect your husband? The challenge, of course, is that when we are insecure, we feel that they're not loving and respecting us, the last thing we want to do is put on love and respect. But what we found is this: couples who are willing to be the mature one and to act on love and respect over a period of time, you'll have a successful marriage. It doesn't make any difference how many stresses you have, how many problems you have. If the attitude of love and respect is in your relationship toward the heart of the other person, you will succeed. The research confirms this, and the Bible teaches this.
I believe it's a simple message that takes work, but it works. And how do I know? Because when I don't do it, it doesn't work. And when I do it, it does work. And it works for a lifetime.
On a personal note, we had a wonderful experience. My daughter's living in Paris, France with her husband, and they surprised us by flying to Serbia to be with us today, and we had no idea they were coming. But then the second thing, my daughter is pregnant, and she revealed that to me today. Sarah knew it, but it was a surprise.
I've been keeping it a secret.
Keeping a secret. So we will always remember Serbia, because that's where I learned that my daughter was with child. So that's personal. But we have loved the country, just touring around and just seeing the fields and the people and the warmth and the receptivity. I mean, it will have a very special place in our hearts.
Forever.
Yeah.